Thanks for stopping by today. I want to take a few minutes and talk about challenges, but difficult times in our lives. We've all had them, and I'm sure there'll be more ahead. Part of being a human being is, in fact, having challenges on our path. Some may be big and some may seem small, but either way, they impact us. So, what do we do with those challenges? Well, I think we have a couple of choices, really. I think thing one is we can get frustrated, we can be upset, we can blame someone else. And quite often, oh, well, that makes sense, and we all go through that. The other approach, which may seem a little different, is to be grateful. And you say to me, oh my gosh, how can you be grateful for something that's difficult? How can you be grateful for a challenge? Well, here's what I'll tell you. When you find yourself at a crossroads, in a difficult moment, a tough situation, it may be a loss of a job, it may be someone you loved who left you. You thought you had a forever relationship, and turns out you don't. Maybe many events. If you think of it, most of those big events in our life revolve around some kind of work, some kind of relationship, friendship, a love, place to live, right? And I understand there's practical sides to many challenges, so I don't minimize that at all. But what I'm talking about is how we react, how we respond, how we feel, how we engage. Now, option one, again, we've all done it, God knows I've done it many times, is I get frustrated, I get upset, and I blame someone for it, whoever it may be. Option two is to pause. 20 seconds, just pause for 20 seconds and express gratitude. And you say to me, how could you be grateful for anything when something bad has happened? Well, find three things that you're grateful for in your life. And they don't have to be monumental, they don't have to be grandiose, just three simple things. I'm grateful that I have a coat and it's cold outside. I'm grateful that I had food today. I'm grateful that whatever it may be. Three simple things. Be grateful. As you express your gratitude, you'll start feeling a small shift inside. You'll feel just a little bit different, a little bit better. Maybe not a ton, but a little bit. And then ask yourself, in this event, in this situation that I don't like, that I didn't want, what's my gift? What's my lesson in this situation? And you may say, well, that's crazy. How do you find gifts? Well, here's what I'll tell you. I bet many people have said to me, my gosh, Ro, that lesson was so life-changing. It was so impactful. But they've never said, and it felt good. You see, our greatest lessons come by way of our greatest challenges. They really do. And masked inside those challenges are the gifts of our life, or the nuggets that we can take away and say, oh, okay, I'm learning how to be different. I'm learning I want to be different. I'm learning and choose different. I'm learning to think different. I'm learning to feel different. Whatever it may be, whatever that lesson is for you. Because you see, the lesson is very much just for you, about you, no one else. So when we look for the lesson, when we look for the gift, truly from our heart, we can't be angry at the same time. You see, those two emotions can't coexist. So be grateful, look for the lesson, look for the gift. And look, sometimes, and especially with more practice, we can find those lessons pretty quickly, pretty easily. And sometimes it takes a long time. There's been lessons that have taken me decades to understand. I was 16 years old. Seems like such a long time ago. I came home and my stepfather and I didn't get along. We never had. And I was working that summer. When I got home, hour-long conversation came down to he saying to me, pack your things and leave. So the next morning, that's what I did. Grew up in New York City, by the way, just for context. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know where I was going to go. And I was angry. I was angry at my core. I can remember hitting walls. I can remember just being so angry because I was so afraid. So afraid. And I didn't have the wherewithal, the understanding, or understand the power of looking for my lesson, looking for my gift. And so I spent many years very angry, very bitter. I was the victim. and he was the perpetrator. At least that was my story. And you would say to me, well, of course he was. He kicked you out. You had every right to be upset. Yeah, maybe. But I know this for the truth is that as I learned years later how to find the gift, how to find the lesson, there was a huge, huge awareness that came about me. And I said, wow, as I look at my life today, that was one of the best events that could have ever happened. Yes, was it tough? Of course it was. I lived on the streets for some time, didn't know where I was going to eat, didn't know where I was going to sleep, bummed a couch here, over there, or whatever I could. I still remember my favorite park bench, by the way. But here's what I'll tell you. Of all that, it taught me so many wonderful lessons, such as self-reliance. It taught me how to love. It taught me how to be grateful. It taught me how I could be self-reliant, how I could stand on my own 2 feet, how I could persevere through the storm, even though in the moment I had no idea I can get to the other side. And again, it took me a bit. Let me not make it sound like this was a week-long transition, because it wasn't. But I recognize now what a great gift that was. And so now the opportunity for me is when I come across something that I may not like, I try and skip being upset because it doesn't help anything, right? Being upset, all it does is immobilize us. We freeze. We can't even think straight, and we're stuck. And when we're stuck, we can't even look anywhere except in this moment and in the drudgery and the pain. And that doesn't help us a whole lot. Because what do we really want? We want to move forward. We want a solution. We want to go in a different direction. But when we're stuck, we can't do that. And so now, something happens. What's my gift? What's my lesson? It doesn't allow me to stay in a place of victimhood. That's somewhere else. But it allows me to say, okay, I'm going to look at this differently. I'm going to find that gift, and I'm going to focus in a different direction. And following that different direction, that leads me to other possibilities, to other opportunities, to other ways of thinking. And as I process that gift, it teaches me about me. Oh, this is what I could have done better, different. Approach it better, approach it differently, think better, think differently, whatever that may be. And all of a sudden, I find myself in a different trajectory. One that fits me, one that fits where I'm trying to go to. But most of all, it helps me be at peace. And through that peace is how I create happiness. You see, happiness is not a party in my head. Happiness is that I've been doing somersaults, but peace, being at peace inside, that's where my happiness is born. And it's my responsibility to make myself happy. But happiness can never be attached to anything else outside of us. It can't be attached to a job, to money, to a relationship, to anything. Because if that shouldn't one day not exist, whatever that is, then we're devastated. But happiness is born from within. It's born from the peace that we create within ourselves. And so as we live our peace, as we live our happiness, we find that we look at the world a little different, a little clearer, a little brighter. And it's amazing. It's amazing. The opportunities that we can see and we can recognize are there for us. And then we have the ability to seize those opportunities. So I wish you today a happy day. I wish you today peace and the opportunity to look at your challenges from a different perspective.